messaging is much, much easier to change, and it's faster to test and see what's working. The reason people leave your website, it has nothing to do with your logo or your color palette. You know, when you have massive traffic and you can really test these things, sure, knock yourself out. Up until then, your message is going to be the thing that helps people understand, what do? Do you do it for them, and can you help them?
Welcome to the Business Builders Playbook, the show that breaks down the systems and strategies behind predictable revenue growth to win in business. In each episode, we're diving into the proven strategies that separate the winners who scale from the losers who fail. This show is sponsored by BDR.ai, the AI-powered business development platform that automates your outbound prospecting so you can focus in on closing deals instead of chasing leads. Let's get started.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is David Bush, and I am the co-owner of BDR.ai. And today I have the enormous pleasure of hosting and moderating very weekly with my poor voice, the wonderful Kelsey. She's going to be sharing some insights and tips on how you can end up getting more from HubSpot. How can you benefit from the amazing toolbox that you have at your fingertips and all of the new features and tools and resources? And she has been such a tremendous resource to us at BDR.ai that I'm just super pleased that she's willing to share some insights and some slides to help all of you to elevate and dominate in 2026 and beyond. So, Kelsey, thanks for taking the lead with my poor voice today. Super excited to hear what you have for us to learn from you and all of your expertise and experience.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to do so. And thank you so much for having me, David. I'm really sorry about your voice. That is such a bummer. It's like doing a live demo when everything is going wrong. Your internet goes out. It's, I'm really sorry, but it's, the way it works.
Well, you are safe. I'm going to still pop in and ask some questions because I want to know some of these answers to my questions as well. And maybe there's some people that are watching this live or watching this as a recording, and I want them to be able to hear, because you have been so instrumental to helping us to turn this amazing machine of HubSpot into an actual business growth engine and a dashboard that we can use. And it's been so valuable to us that I've been so appreciative of everything you brought to the table. And you don't just bring in HubSpot expertise, but you bring in real life marketing and business development expertise. So I'm ready to jump in. Are you ready to get going?
Let's do it.
Cool.
First of all,
share slides ability. So rock and roll.
I got it. I gotcha. That's me. Looks like me for the most part. It's not even an AI picture. Really, who we're going to be talking to today is people who are already HubSpot users or people who are, I'll say, Hub curious. Smaller teams that really need to get things going fast. I want to make sure that you walk away with some to-dos and some real tangible takeaways. And I promise that there will be no fluff, just things that I have really come up with over more than 100, it's now approaching 150 different HubSpot implementations. But as David pointed out before that, I was a practitioner in all things go-to-market, including product management, product marketing, and demand generation. So I'm bringing this to you from a world of having done it myself. I hope you will forgive my irreverence. That's just my way. So to the extent I make stupid jokes, then please enjoy. Our agenda for today, if I am going too fast, I'm really having trouble with my slides. There we go. Is I'm going to talk a little bit about messaging. That's always one of my hot points, is when people can't describe what they do for who and why. I'm going to talk about your minimum viable HubSpot setup, like what you absolutely must have in the first 90 days. HubSpot's a very big platform. Spoiler alert, don't overdo it right away. I will deliver in that vein, a 90-day things you can do yourself without hiring an agency on retainer to align your sales and marketing departments and get some real results. I'll also mention to you where you should use AI to start. It's easy to go crazy, especially if you are a solopreneur or a small business. And then I'll talk to you about metrics, what you should be looking at in HubSpot that you can really just take straight to the bank. Is my clicker to work? Okay, so why does messaging beat design? So a lot of people are very, very interested in a very beautiful website. But for one thing, messaging is much, much easier to change, and it's faster to test and see what's working. The reason people leave your website is really, honestly, in broad strokes, it has nothing to do with your logo or your color palette or the pictures. When you have massive traffic and you can really test these things and you're really down to the wire in terms of, making micro changes that have impact, sure, knock yourself out. But, up until then, your message is going to be the thing that helps people understand, what do you do? Do you do it for them? And can you help them? This messaging is going to drive the things that you care about right now, which is going to be people filling out your forms, people requesting demos of your product or a sales interaction, or replies to your outreach. In the future state with your beautiful website, and this is a true story. I spoke to a real live client yesterday. They have $30 million annual profit, and their website is only bringing in like 3,000 visitors a month. So don't worry about that. Worry about making sure you connect with your audience. David and I's mutual colleague, Dion Major, always talks about that's about as practical as a monkey humping a basketball. And so this was the closest I could come to that picture. It really, really made me laugh. But the truth of the matter is that spending your time on the logo and color machinations is really about as practical as a monkey humping a basketball. So what does the right messaging look like? The most important thing is that your headline says what you do for whom in one sentence. This is much, much harder to do than you think. Sorry. AI can help you in this area, but you really need to understand what you do for who. Like, speak to it yourself, right? Say explain it to you how you would explain it to your grandmother. You also need to talk about the problem, the pain that the buyer is having in their words, not yours. I've absolutely seen situations like I had a client where they were describing their own product in a different way than their customers used. I see you was doing the face palm, David. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, they use different words. And we found that out by doing interviews with customers. Talk about the outcome. What are they going to get if they engage with you or buy your product? What will be the measurable result that they get? Is it more money? If so, how much? Is it less time? If so, how much less, etc. Show some proof. Show your social proof or your metrics, as I just mentioned, near the call to action. That's what CTA stands for. And then make it clear what the next step that they need to do, one clear action that they need to take, and what will happen after they click that button. Let them know what they're getting into. If they're going to expect to fill out a form, if they're going to expect to have somebody call them, let them know. Be transparent.
So if this show is resonating with you and you're ready to take action because you want to scale your business faster, smarter, with more AI and technology and less labor, check out BDR.ai. We help entrepreneurs and executive sales leaders to automate the grind of prospecting so you can focus your time on closing deals and growing revenue where you should be spending your time. With AI-powered data, digital outreach automation, and done-for-you prospecting systems, you'll connect with more qualified leads, book more appointments, and build predictable revenue without adding more hours to your week or the week of your staff. Visit BDR today and discover how our AI Prospect Finder and digital BDR agents can help you to build your pipeline and your profits. Visit BDR.ai, where business builders learn how to automate and scale their playbook.
Yeah, one question I have is when you're providing social proof, How much information do you provide without giving up too much information about your clientele? I'm curious, because if you don't give them enough, you're not going to necessarily be seen as giving a valid case study or a valid social proof. But if you give them too much information, then your competitors could go to your website and reach out to your clients. So what would you say on that?
Great question. And a lot of people have a lot of fear that people are going to steal their customers. Now, first of all, to the extent you have logo referenceable customers, you need some of those. You really do need to have some logos that people recognize, because that is actual like proof that your product is, trusted by these companies. Most people know that many companies won't allow their logo to be used by another company unless, they have an agreement of some sort. To the extent you can't do that, an anonymized quote of from a project manager at a large, independent automotive dealer or something like that will be fine. But make sure that the quotes themselves are real and not made up. Like, people really see through hokey AI generated, fake reviews. Just look at Amazon and you know which reviews are fake and which are not. Like, try to provide some meaningful results.
Yeah,
To answer
this is a screen grabber right here. This little, 5-question overview. I mean, if you walked away from nothing other than this one messaging checklist, would be extremely valuable to you, because Kelsey, I see so many different businesses and so many, high-level executive sales leaders that they don't have a clear answer to these 5 topics. So this is a huge one. So thanks for sharing.
You're absolutely right. You're so much right. Then let me demo my examples. It took me about 12 seconds to use Product Hunt this morning to give some examples of people who are doing this poorly. Like, this is probably something really fancy. It looks like it's a video collaboration, but I couldn't tell. I guess it's for creatives, but what does that mean? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea what this is. So this is not it. This one seemed a little bit better. AI script for clinical ops. Okay, this is clinical ops people, whoever those people are, and it says we can transcribe patient visits and generate clinical notes. That seems instantly seems like some, kind of thing, and start a free trial seems pretty obvious. So this one was closer for sure. This one, and I kind of had to search around a little bit harder to find ones that were good. And this is still not perfect. And I don't have a baby, so I'm going to have to trust that these things are true. But it felt like finding better sleep tonight would be a problem that new parents would be wanting to solve. And helping tired parents, boy, I'm pretty sure they're all tired. I do have friends with babies, after all. And then they have some pretty clear calls to action about what's going to happen when you click those buttons. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It definitely doesn't have to be verbose. In fact, I really, really strongly suggest that it's not verbose. Make it clear and to the point. I think that's off cute baby, though, by the way. Okay, so how do you do this practically speaking? So do some simple stuff. I had to throw HubSpot in here because, if not for nothing, it shows up on almost all of the lists of most well-designed websites. So here, strongest proof within 200 pixels of the primary call to action. Here, they're absolutely very clearly calling out, well-recognized logos. And this social proof right here, 194,000 plus customers in over 120 companies grow their businesses with HubSpot. Even if you cannot use some logos, you can use some numbers. And looky-loo here, that's less than 200 pixels away from the primary call to action, which for them is get a demo. This big orange tells me that it is primary, and this white one tells me it's a secondary, right? If you have to have 2 calls to action, so be it. I really, really would prefer 1. Replace submit on a form, which we don't have here. We're not really showing the form, but submit on a form with the outcome they want. Like, get my free trial or whatever it may be, not submit. Is a really weak call to action. Add some buyer frequently asked questions underneath the form. Make it easy for people to commit to filling out your form. Everyone knows, like when you fill out the form, something is going to happen. And a lot of that something can be a salesperson calling you. They just want to feel confident that they're making the right decision to take their time to have that conversation. So make it easy for them. A short explainer line under the headline. We got that here and we got that here. Get a demo of our premium software or get started with free tools. So just a little bit of text. Again, not lengthy, not a paragraph, clear. And then here in the form, remove scare off fields unless required. If you are getting so many leads that you just cannot tolerate them all, then you might ask questions like, where are you located? Or what's your current competitor? But as it turns out, HubSpot has tools that are really cool AI tools that can help gather that information for you. Or, God forbid, you could look them up. Rather than belaboring your potential prospect with things that might slow them down or just make them weary of your form and quit. So before I move on to your HubSpotting, any more questions about like how you kind of get people to come into your HubSpot?
Yeah, so here's a question I have for Kelsey, because I did a little bit of research, but if you could go back to marketingelevator.com, your website, and you were to simply just break down how you do this for yourself, what would be that practical explanation? So what is it that you do and for who? What's your headline?
So the main thing that I want to let people know is that I'm first and foremost a HubSpot expert that can help them unhook what's lost in their HubSpot. A lot of times people feel like they're not getting what they're paying for. And I first and foremost want people to know that I can do that for smaller businesses. I also want to make it clear that I'm not doing it for Fortune 500 enterprises or so forth, because it's okay for people to know that I'm a team of me. And
What's the problem that you solve primarily, other than just some of the things you mentioned about HubSpot? But what's the real pain point or the problem that people deal with that you are just their superhero to solve?
Well, most of the time people want to take their HubSpot and use it to grow their business, and they don't know how. And so they don't know how to use the tools that they already have to engage prospects, help their salespeople identify and target the right prospects, and move people down the funnel into real revenue. So I think that's what I tell people that I do for small and medium businesses that are typically in software services.
Yeah. And so your social proof is typically providing references or recommendation or testimonials from SaaS-based businesses.
Yes. And like that last example, I always will start with saying I've done almost 150 HubSpot implementations, and that's pretty strong social proof. Like if you've done it that many times, you've seen a lot of things. You've seen a lot of things.
Let me just be the first to be one of the testimonials that's live, is that she not only identifies the problems and the pain points that you didn't even know you had, because it's so overwhelming sometimes to deal with all the different things that are available inside of HubSpot or inside of marketing in general. And we're in the business development business. We know marketing, but sometimes the cobbler has bad shoes, and you have to have another set of eyes to come in and say, hey, what about this? And how are you doing this? And so, the outcome that we wanted when we hired her was we wanted to be able to leverage this asset that we knew had 10 times more. It was almost like that we were pulling a Ferrari with a horse-drawn carriage set of horses. We had all of this technology underneath the hood, but we had it in neutral, and we were basically using a set of horses to pull the Ferrari because we just didn't know how to turn the thing on and use it to its capacity. And so your next call to action, what's the thing that you do that's the easiest thing for people to take the next action on?
So this is actually something you and I talked about right away, David, and this is not David's customers, so fear not. One of the first things that you really must do is for your contacts, which HubSpot refers to people records as contacts, you must name and canonize what's called life cycle stage and lead status. I'm going to spend more time on lead status since life cycle stages are more of a HubSpot behind the scenes tracking mechanism. But for your, front facing teams, lead status tells them where this prospect is in the process of being contacted by your company towards becoming a potential customer. In this very real example here, you can see I've color coded their lead statuses, and those dark gray ones, those are things that sales reps have no need to look at ever again. And what we have is, typically people have maybe thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of records, of contact records that have no status of who has talked to them and when, or what needs to happen next. And now you could use proxies like HubSpot has a number of properties such as last contacted date, last activity date, and so forth. But it is very clear in this picture who is who and what needs to happen to them next. David, quick, pop quiz. How many in this picture on the right are people we need to reach out to right away?
Oh, no. 3.
Yes! And that was not rehearsed. Very good job. Yes. Only these 3 that are lead status of new, people who have never been contacted before, they need to be reached out to right away. We don't need to talk to unqualified people. We don't even need to talk to customers if we're a sales rep right now. If we've already connected with them, we need to follow up with them. And if we've attempted to contact them, we need to continue to attempt to contact them. But we don't need to follow up with these, potential candidates. Somebody in HR is doing that, right? So we really only have 3 people out of this whole list we got to deal with right away. The same thing is going to be true with your sales opportunities. HubSpot calls them deals. You need to have one clean pipeline with stage definitions and entry and exit criteria for each of those stages that is clearly defined, unambiguous, and makes for a clean transition based on what the prospect has agreed to move on to. Now, the reason for this is because you will have people, sales reps, we call them happy ears, right? They hear what they want to hear about what's going on with the prospect. And they say something like, sounds interesting. And the sales rep will advance them to the next stage. No. So that's why you need to have these opportunity or deal stages that say what has happened. For example, I like one that would be called something like discovery call completed. The exit criteria for that would be something like the discovery call was completed, but also that the prospect has agreed to move on to the next step. And perhaps that is receive a proposal. But if they've said, okay, thanks, appreciate your time, we'll get back to you, that is not moving forward, right? So the sales rep might have heard, wow, sounds interesting, thanks, I'll get back to you, and thought they're moving forward. But if you do, then your actual forecast is fake. And I don't want a big fat bloated forecast does not happy investors make. So besides these things, you need to make your HubSpot show views, and HubSpot uses the word views, filtered views, that sales need to follow up on. In the example we started with earlier, they would only see these ones that are in the gray, orange, and yellow. They wouldn't see anything. So they'd have a very limited view so that they're not distracted pouring through these other ones, just seeing what they did or whatnot. You need to, in your minimum viable HubSpot, also have your forms wired up. And here's that word again, CTA, calls to action, wired up. And they need to collect what's called UTMs. UTM is a tracking. If you are spending $1 on advertising, you would like to know if that advertising is being effective. This is simple. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. You also need to be able to send a marketing email with a named sender and a clean footer that is just a simple marketing email that can be sent to confirm that they've downloaded something, announce a new product, or so forth. This is really it. Now, to do this in HubSpot would really take, frankly, a matter of hours or days, not weeks or months. And the hard part is it is very easy to get hung up on all the bells and whistles. There are so many that I literally have 100-page document just to set up the sales professional, to ask people if they want all of the things. But if I were going to set this up for you, David, like you already had a lot of bells and whistles set up. But if we were going to just do this and you were going to take my word for it on things like the life cycle stage and lead statuses, I could have it done before dinner tonight. So don't overthink this stuff. To that point, let's talk about what to turn off for now. And this is indeed an AI generated picture of me, because a lot of these things I like a lot, but when you're just getting started, they're overkill. There's a thing in HubSpot called leads. It works a little bit differently than Salesforce leads, but it has the same name and it has, generally speaking, the same intention. It has this beautiful place called a sales workspace where you can see all your work at any given time and what you should do next and who you should call and AI generated next actions. I have found that as much as I love this for a team that is already accustomed to working in a CRM, that this is just so badass, people like cry over how exciting it is. But for people who are just getting started, I have found it to be a bridge too far. And I put that in a phase 2 or sometimes even a phase 3. Similarly, extra pipelines, properties, and custom objects. Extra pipelines like, oh, we want a renewal pipeline. Oh, we want a cross-sell upsell pipeline. Oh, we want one for partners. Oh, we want from whatever. Just get started doing one thing first. Okay, trust me, because they get lost and then everything is behind and then your data is bad and then people don't trust the system and then you like feel like the project was a failure. So this like tiny baby steps is really the way to go. People want to score their inbound leads. Okay, again, if you have so many inbound leads, you just can't possibly stand it. Okay, we'll talk about lead scoring. I haven't found any of those companies yet. I really haven't. And so just like people want to do this because they've heard it, they've heard those words, they think it's cool. It's cool, and you're going to need it later, but you just don't need it now. People want to put global pop-up forms on every page. Open up your phone, go shopping on any site. You're going to see a few well strategically placed ones with great offers can help you. I definitely am a strong fan of that. But don't go crazy because you're actually going to limit the number of quality leads that actually fill them out. And then chatbots that route nowhere. Like if you're going to have a trained AI chatbot that answers some questions, cool, I'm a fan. If you're going to have one that asks you, would you like to talk to somebody, and is not going to talk to somebody, it is going to be doing you more harm than good from a customer experience standpoint. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about those people that are here live right now. What is the question that you have about what to turn on, what to turn off? Is there something that is currently your problem or your pain point that Kelsey could answer? It may not be right now, but we'd love to get some questions from the live audience. So if you can find the chat feature and just let us know, or use the Q&A feature on your Zoom toolbar, and let us know what questions that you have, because obviously you have your own challenges and difficulties. And if it's not HubSpot related, is it related back to lead generation, marketing, or some other aspect? Please go ahead and communicate that in the chat or in the Q&A feature.
Great. Happy to answer this question. Next one. I'll move on as we go, though. So I talked about this idea of required properties and keeping things simple. This relates to both your users in your CRM and your forms for your prospective customers. So anybody who's known me for any length of time knows that I use this expression, as many as necessary, as few as possible, all the time. Because I do think that you need to have as many of whatever it is as necessary. Like I'm having a Halloween party this weekend. I need as many hot dogs as as necessary for the kids that are going to be at my Halloween party, but as few as possible because I hate hot dogs and I don't really want them laying around after the fact, right? I mean, this is absolutely as true for properties in your CRM as it is on your form. So for creating, in this case, you see a picture for create a new contact. There's a form, there's an internal form that your users use when they're going to create a new contact. You want them to create new contacts a lot. And so in this particular case, I'm showing an email, first name, last name, company name, employment role, contact owner, lead status. But you'll notice there's only one that is required. Sure, do I want all that information? Absolutely, I do. But, if you require it, ask it now. Otherwise, there'll be plenty of time to require it. You might consider things like the buying role, like are they a finance user or are they a marketing user? You might treat those people very different in your marketing nurture. Just whatever you absolutely must have, you can ask it. Otherwise, don't torture your users. Again, HubSpot has really great, AI automation that allows you to gather this information about people or companies straight out of the world of the internets. In your company, you may include things like, are they a fit, right? Perhaps you cannot serve people. Like I couldn't serve people if they came to me and they said 50,000 employees. I can't serve them. And so use this to qualify people unequivocally in or out. On the deal, really the minimal amount of things that you can ask for at the early stage of creating a deal, because again, you have a way the system will allow you to require more information as they get closer to needing a proposal or a contract. So just don't torture yourself. So let's talk about what to do in the 90 days that you can do yourself. You don't need any agency to help you with this stuff. These are simple things. I said it could be done in a matter of hours. I'm giving you a 90-day roadmap to do the same thing. Okay. You can do it. So clarity and capture in month 1, the handoffs and follow up on month 2, and then building your pipeline and showing the proof of your efforts in month 3. In month 1, you should plan to clarify and capture some things that we've already discussed. Your messaging and your proof points, and update the top 3 pages on your website with those messages. You should launch 1 primary landing page, ideally in my world, for 1 target persona or ideal customer profile, with 1 form and 1 thank you email that says, thank you, we've received your request for X, and here it is. This is the prospects version of the form, and this isn't what they would see. This is the HubSpot back end of it. But here again, you can see first name, last name, company name, email, and then these are going to be hidden fields. They're actually not in this picture, but these would be hidden fields. These are those UTMs I talked about. So if you're capturing these people from advertising, your source would be something like Facebook, and your medium would be something like cost per click advertising. And your campaign might be Halloween campaign. And those would come straight into your HubSpot so you could see what was working, what didn't. I would like you to send 1 marketing email. That marketing email might be, this is a very spooky offer for all of our customers to upgrade to the latest and greatest if you act before October 31st. That's a marketing email, a one-to-many blast that goes to a segment of customers that you have identified with an offer that is relevant and timely for them. I want you to build 1 sequence. Sequence is a term that HubSpot uses. Other companies use different terms like cadence or series. And what these means is it's a series of automated emails coupled with things like tasks, which might include LinkedIn tasks, which David could help you with, phone calls, text messages, carrier pigeon. I don't really care what all modalities you use. I'm a huge fan of direct mail when it's applicable. And these things go in an order, and they'll tee up your sales rep to call when they should call, text when they should text, integrate with LinkedIn when you need to, for anybody who's filled out a form. That way, it's not one and done. We just talked about this one thank you email. So somebody comes to your offer for your Halloween offer and they fill out the form and they get the confirmation email. And maybe the sales rep makes one phone call, but you got to make sure that they make more than one phone call, because right now the average number of attempts it takes to connect with people at a time when they're actually ready to do something is more than 20. So these sequences will help you do that. In month 2, we have to have this handoff and follow-up. I just talked about the first stage of that, which is a sequence where your sales is going forward. You got to remember, I thought this cartoon was absolutely hysterical, because it is totally true. The buyer's journey, as we refer to it, is not a straightforward linear process. Think about anything you've ever bought of any non-Amazon. Do not count the hanging candles that I just ordered for my entryway, because I bought them in one click. But think of anything that's considered, right? You're buying a software for your business. Like, let's say you're buying a payroll software for your business. Let's say you're buying a car for yourself. Any of these things have a process where the buyer is considering, evaluating alternatives, going back and considering some more, checking their bank account and considering some more. It's not a linear process. But that means that they can be handed off from marketing to sales, back to marketing again, back to sales again, multiple times. What I mean by this is that if the sales rep has made, let's call it 20 attempts, and the person has not responded, and they are still the right kind of person at the right kind of company that does what that your product will help, then you need to keep working them. But it cannot be done by the salesperson, because there is a law of diminishing marginal returns for that person at this time. I once had a BDR that told me that his average number of attempts, and I'm absolutely not kidding about this, was around 100. And I was like, what in the what? And I said, why? He said, because that one time. And he wasn't wrong, and it was a big deal. But the problem is he doesn't have the bandwidth to do that many efforts against a larger number of people who are hotter. So what they need to do is hand it back to marketing, and marketing can manage them in a one-to-many manner. Then you create task queues to kick them back to sales when they're active and hot again. Sales team needs to learn how to use these. I should I'll maybe create a little video, follow-up demo of how easy it is in HubSpot to crunch through a bunch of tasks. When they're all teed up for you, it's very fast to do them, instead of, again, like I said, picking through each of these things and trying to figure out what you should do next. In month 2, you should also be adding a second sequence for these people who were previously no reply that have returned to you again. It should look different. It's not, hey, I'm trying to connect with you because you responded to our Halloween campaign. It's more like, hey, it looks like you're re-engaging in this process. Is there anything I can help you with? Right? And as I just discussed, I usually refer to these marketing outreach after the sales rep has done their best as a nurture flow. This could be a series of emails. Again, it could be things like emails, advertising, direct mail. There's a lot of things that you could use. Pick one. Pick email. So just keep it simple. This is still a 201 level. You did 101 in your month 1. This is a 201 level of effort. And then you're going to move on to really building a pipeline and proving that this is working. So you should add one outbound motion tied to your best inbound signal. What that means, that sounds like absolute, gobbledygook to most people. Let me paraphrase here. If somebody is coming to your website because they want your free guide to sending payroll, then you should create an outbound sequence that is an offer for your guide to performing payroll. So whatever people are coming to you for, create an outbound offer for that very same thing. Now I want you to try to deploy one of these HubSpot agents. They refer to their AI tools as various agents. You've probably heard that by now. There is one called the prospecting agent that will research your prospective customer and their company, the person and the company. They will research it for you and write an email about your product or service for you and send it. And it will send 3 to 5 of those, and the replies will come to you. It is basically magic. You should also create a simple case study or proof page. David, you talked about this already. HubSpot actually has a module for this. It's an upsell, of course, sadly, but here you can almost see, the sections that it has in there. What industry were they in? What challenge were they having? What were the results that they achieved with your product or service? And then some metrics around it. It's almost that simple. And you don't have to use HubSpot to do this. You can use a Google Doc. Just put together a simple case study that shows what you've done for somebody, that proves what you can do. And then review the velocity of your deals. Look at any sales opportunities and see why they are not moving. Time in stage is a metric I would recommend. How long have they been in that stage? And anything that has been stuck, you should review with your sales rep directly or with yourself if you are the seller. Any questions about that plan? It sounds heavy, but this is doable.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that funny graphic that you had because I thought that was something that was really appropriate. I'm going to put this link in the chat for those people that are here live. But when you think about the number of touch points that are necessary in today's busy, information-driven, constant distractions, what do you think is the necessary touch points on average for a prospect to move from a lead to an actual closed sale? Any idea? I know that there used to be language like 6 to 12 follow-ups, but that wasn't including, actual like comments on a LinkedIn post and liking post and endorsing skills and all of these other things that we can now do inside the world of social media and digital outreach. Any thoughts on that?
My dear friend, if I knew the answer to that question, I would be extremely rich. It really will vary by product, by industry, by, a lot
What would
of
you
things.
say is the minimum that you would have? I mean, it's funny that you put that image up there because I feel like that in today's world, like if you don't have all of those little touch points, you are stepping over dollars to go pick up more nickels, dimes, and pennies because you're missing the opportunity to nurture. But most people are assuming that they're doing too much when I think that they're oftentimes not doing enough to move people.
Oh, it would be very hard to do too much. It would be the thing that's gonna stop you from doing too much is budget and time, right? And I'll tell you, those things have a totally inverse relationship. If you have money, you can accelerate this. I have a client that last year they had raised a fair amount of money. They got a very smart head of marketing and he was able to use various agencies and support people to spin up a large number of channels very, very quickly, and they absolutely took off. If you have money, that's the way to do it. If you don't, you're going to have to take time. And I used to have a picture that I used over and over again. There was a stack of pancakes. And, pancakes are like, you can't like make pancakes, like a million of them at once, right? You typically, if you have a regular size pan, you can make pancakes like 1 or 2 at a time. And that's about how it works to create these different channels. So that's why I said start with email. You might then want to start with very, very, very inexpensive advertising, like display advertising. You might want to then start with something really easy to execute that would be, maybe social media advertising to a similar audience, right? An audience you have. Then you might try adding, direct mail. Then you might try, so you just kind of do them one at a time till you have a stack of pancakes. But, you shouldn't really move on until you have one semi-mastered, right? That is kind of on autopilot. Because to the extent that you're moving on before you're really ready, people get confused, people get tired. It's not working, so they think it's not working. It's not working because you haven't put enough attention to it. I would say the number of channels that the ideal, small business would get to, like, let's talk about a local business that people might, know of, like a heating and air conditioning business. They might have radio ads. They might have print coupons in the circular. They might have, signage on their, building or whatnot. They might have, Google ads for search, and they might have Nextdoor or, Angie's List or something like that. Like, that's a good number, right? And it's not at all easy to execute against all of those. So start small and build up.
Right.
Okay. So where are you going to start to deploy your robots? I thought this was rather hilarious that I asked the AI to create a image for this, and we are still living in the world where all of this is garbage. So I thought that was funny. You will definitely be able to use your AI tool of choice, whether it's a HubSpot, ChatGPT, Perplexity's Claude, whatever else you want to use to create email sequences and subject lines. Bomb at that kind of stuff. And you can find about 1 million prompts to get good ones. Similarly, summarizing your calls and putting the tasks of what you need to do into your deals. Just use a call recorder to record your meetings if you can. Even if you have to do that in person, if you're doing something in person, do it on your phone, record it, and then use any AI tool to summarize it. You can use HubSpot's AI to clean or enrich your data. It can add titles, it can add industries, it can add locations, it can add a lot of things. Like, it can research your prospect's website and find out what they sell, for example. And this is all in the stuff that's included. You can use it to generate your frequently asked questions about your product or service and any objection handling for playbooks to help your sales reps. These are things that, would I say that it would behoove you to really do it yourself? It might, but not so much as the amount of time that you would save by using AI to do it. You need to put your eyes on it, and you need to make sure it speaks to your voice and your brand and what you really do. But take these shortcuts. Be sure to be safe about it, though, please, because we still have, people who are using free tools that are putting sensitive data in there. You should definitely use templates and a shared prompt library for your team so that you get consistent results if multiple people are engaging. As I just mentioned, you must review this stuff before you have any customer facing output. Like, please just do it yourself, or have your spouse or family member or friend do it for you. And make sure you're tracking the results like you would a junior copywriter. If the output is crap, change your prompt, right? Do something different, try a different tool. But, keep track of these things so that you're not just facing, if you're not just a, monkey humping basketball over and over again, right?
Going to be a hard visual to get rid of. You've really nailed that today.
Blame Dion for that. I'm not kidding, right? I think he even used football, but the basketball picture spoke to me. The things about HubSpot that you should take away the fastest is that it will do your tracking for you. And God love them for the design of their dashboards and the reports. There are a few that I really recommend that people look at every week. And it is basically to give you just like a little bit of a broad spectrum view of your demand generation or pipeline creation situation. You want to look at how many new contacts by where they came from, source, and intent, what they were trying to do. Were they trying to download a piece of content that might help them answer a question, or were they ready to talk to sales? You can very easily split those up in HubSpot. What is the current status of those contacts? Harken back to the picture where I pop quizzed David. They all need to have a lead status partly so you can make sure somebody's following up on them. If you had 10 new contacts in a week and they were all still in new status, we got a problem. Houston, we have a real problem. Either ourselves, if we're the seller, or our sales team hasn't done what they're supposed to do. You should also see how many deals were created. People who met that criteria that put them to, they were ready to be really engaged in the sales process and they could become revenue. You should then, similarly as you are with contacts, talk about deals that were untouched this week. Maybe they don't all need to be touched every week, but know that before just assuming that. And then look at pages that are working on assisting conversions. What are the things that are helping move people down the needle? These pictures here, this top one here is number of website sessions by week. Is this going up or going down, right? And then here is your deals and what changes has happened to them this week. And you can see this company has a lot of deals, and I made sure that these are all open deals. This little filters here tells me that. And in this particular case, no change was the vast, vast, vast majority of them. So what's going on with that, right? There's some new ones. There were 22 last week. There were only 6 this week. It's only Wednesday. Let's hope that's the case. Previous period, 9 moved forward, and 5 or 3 or whatever number that is did not, and then backward, right? You can see that, and these things come straight out of the box. So very smart sales manager types designed these reports. They are as good as any ops leaders that I have known. It's in a thing called the analytics suites. Depending on what tools of HubSpot you have, you might have some or all of these. In this example that I've just used, I've highlighted the sales analytics suites. It opens up into activities and leads, deals and forecast and revenue. And then in each of those, we have these details, call outcomes, completed activities, lead response time. These are all the things you would want to know. So you don't need to, reinvent the wheel. You just need to make sure that you and your sellers have connected their emails, phone, and calendar to HubSpot, and HubSpot will do the work for you. The last thing I want to talk about is common mistakes. The worst and the hardest one is that people will try to add more tools to fix the process problem. If you haven't heard people, process, and technology, I'd be very surprised, for one, but for two, I make people and process much bigger than technology. You can deploy technology once you've straightened these out and it'll add magic to you. But if you have problems in people and process, there's no amount of technology that can solve it. And just for the record, there is no good art for this. I'm sorry. I tried really hard. There is garbage out there. Someday I'll invent a good one. The other thing, more tactically, people will treat the lead status as optional. Like, you must use this. Imagine if you have thousands of records. I won't name any names, but somebody that I know has almost 200,000 records in their HubSpot. And, we actually know that there's a small percentage of those that need action taken. So the lead status, if we don't use that, people will wander around trying to figure out what to do for a long time. Similarly, I cautioned against this when I talked about deal stages, but people use their deal stages as the sales rep's to-do list. Like, what should you do? you should research the company and then you should this and then you should that. No, that's not how a deal pipeline works, because it won't give you an accurate forecast. It has to be what the prospect is engaging in and where they are in their decision-making process. And then lastly, measuring everything. I just showed you the huge number of things you can measure, almost hands-free, and then doing nothing about it. If you're going to if you're not going to do anything, don't track it, right? Like, what the heck? What's the point? But if you pick those few metrics and you decide that you're going to, make them move in the direction you want to go week over week, you will make real progress and you'll get through your 1, 2, and 3 months checklists, and you will have growth. I can almost guarantee it. So what were those quick wins again? Make sure you update your website with your clear headline and your proof. Make sure you have one pipeline with real stage definitions. Make sure you have one inbound form, one sequence with one thank you email, with one template for emails and one for your call notes, and then a weekly dashboard. So those are just the quick things that we talked about, with the details, which will send you this deck. But you can do this and you will make progress in a way that is material. Here's some ideas for HR. Again, you'll get this. We'll send the checklist. We will send the dashboard template. We will send the deck. I want you to pick one page to update it this week, and then book a working session with yourself to wire up all the things we talked about. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think God and everybody knows that I'll pick up the phone or answer my email. So David, can connect us if you have a question, or you can reach me at Kelsey@marketingelevator.com.
Very cool, Kelsey. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise and your experience and helping organizations to scale. I just put in a simple AI chat prompt just as a kind of a test. I just took what Kelsey was talking about in the very beginning, and I just ran it against her own individual website. And it's just going through those 5 simple things with very little information entered in. I just took her website and I said, give me those 5 things. And so, simple AI technology can help augment your actions. And when you are partnered up with a person like Kelsey and with a company like BDR.ai, we can help you to scale faster, easier, better, and cheaper than trying to figure it out on your own. Remember, the experience of others compresses time. And so when you leverage the experience and expertise of others, you can accelerate your growth in 2026. And, we're not out there chasing retainers. We're out there trying to serve and support people like you who want to grow their business. And so please reach back out to Kelsey at marketingelevator.com or reach back out to us at bdr.ai. And together we will help you to scale your business faster, easier, better, and cheaper than doing it on your own. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for coming.
All right, take care.
Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Builders Playbook. If this episode gave you some plays that you can start running in your business today, hit subscribe and share with another revenue leader who's tired of the pipeline grind. Building predictable revenue isn't something you figure out alone. Whether you're looking to automate your prospecting with BDR.ai, or you just want to talk through the growth challenges you're facing, reach out. We help business leaders just like you to build systems that actually scale. And if you're ready to stop being your company's highest paid prospector, let's have a conversation. Reach out to us at bdr.ai. Until next time, let's keep building.